Hey everyone, welcome back. We are Kara and Caleb.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Caleb.
One time I was cooking and I got a little bit of water spot on your lens. And you
Wait, I have a question for you.
You didn't even hear what I said.
Yeah, I know. One time you were cooking and you got a water spot on my lens and I was what? Go ahead, finish that. Crabby cakes, Caleb? It's a term of endearment around here.
You really are crabby cakes sometimes. Why are we crabby?
I'm not crabby. I have
feelings.
heavy feelings.
Yeah. It's okay. I have heavy feelings too.
I know.
What's your question?
No, I do have a question.
Okay.
What is deeply uncomfortable for you in this season?
Oh. What is deeply uncomfortable for me in this season?
The season that you're in.
Two things come to mind. One is, it's all shedding. It's a lot of shedding.
What does that mean? Like your hair?
No, shedding like friendships that don't serve me anymore. Shedding identities that I've been stuck in. Like I have this identity of who I am and how I work and how I show up in the world, and I feel like I want to up-level, but up-leveling means that I have to shed what is currently there, and that's really uncomfortable. It's actually like horribly uncomfortable
It's uncomfortable, yeah.
to face, because I have to face all my shadow stuff, like all the reasons that all the ways that I feel scared or insecure or whatever it might be.
Wait, but can you give me like a practical example of what it would look like to shed something? Like today, throughout your day, what has happened that has maybe provoked you to actively work towards shedding either an identity or a thought process or something that no longer serves you?
Yeah. Well, I think in this new...
This is completely random, by the way.
Yeah, this is really random. I think in this new venture of work that I'm doing, it's all new territory. In the sense, like I've done so much of it before, but I've never done it in this format. I've never done it as an online business, and I've never created it in this way. And it's me. It's like my story and my work that I've done, and now I'm presenting it and inviting people into that.
It's vulnerable.
It's ridiculously vulnerable. It's constant vulnerability, because if someone rejects what I offer, it feels like a rejection to me, because it is me. It is me that I'm offering. So part of the shedding for me looks like, how do I own my story so much and put it out there unabashedly in a way that if you reject it, it actually just means that it's not for you. It's for somebody else. And I think with that, for me, comes...
But they're also not rejecting your story always. Maybe they're rejecting the way that you're communicating it, or they're rejecting the language around it that they might not yet identify with.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily rejection of you.
Right. But when it...
For sure.
it can be interpreted like that for me. But then the other piece in all of that is constant butting up against scarcity mindset. I'm constantly butting up against, this isn't going to work. This has already been done. It's never going to make money, or whatever the narrative is. This like through line in the back of my head that really is just a way of keeping me from playing big, right? It's just a way of me it's a way of keeping me from putting myself out there and getting hurt. So it's self-protection in some ways, but it's this narrative of like, you're never going to have what you want, and this thing that you want to birth is just... somebody's already done it.
The scarcity mindset is deep.
It's so
I think a lot
deep.
of times when we talk about scarcity, people immediately think finances, like money, and that's definitely a part of it, right? But scarcity and abundance, this isn't just like strictly limited towards finances. This is every area of our life. Do I actually inherently believe that the universe is good, that God is good, and do I believe that there are unlimited ways for me to get to where I'm going? Do I believe that there are unlimited relationships to help me along the way?
Yeah.
Right? There is no shortage of a good thing.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot.
It takes a lot of trust to believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of life has proven us otherwise. Or we have thought it's proven us otherwise. But I was explaining to a friend today, I was saying like, I have always thought I don't get what I wanted. That's a narrative from childhood. I got what I wanted in a timing that was very different than what I wanted it in. I wanted to be married, I thought, at 21, 25. I got married at 35, 10 years later than what I wanted. But now I'm like, thank God I didn't get married any earlier. I would never have wanted to meet you a day earlier. So now I can see that in a small way in my life and be like, oh, I got exactly what I wanted when it was the right time. And I think that's what makes wanting and longing and desire so tricky, is that our souls know what we're created for. So our souls are always like, that's what's possible. That's what we're hungry for. And we see it and we feel it and we taste it. And so the pain of longing comes because we don't yet have it, right? Like I remember in singleness missing you. I didn't even know you, but I missed you. And I feel like it's the same way with anything else. Like when we want and long, the problem is that it's not there yet, but it's coming in the right timing. And so that's the work. How do we trust the timing of it? How do we trust that
how do we
it's
surrender the expectations or surrender the way we think it's going to arrive? Because oftentimes what we want, it unfolds in a way we least expect it to unfold, and sometimes in a package that we least expect it to be in.
Totally. And then really the work becomes, how do I get the stuff out of the way that's in the way from it flowing to me? Not how do I figure out how to go get it, but how do I posture myself in a way of receiving where I remove anything that's keeping me from receiving what I truly want. Because even in singleness, there were constant things that were keeping me from receiving you, right? But my work wasn't like, go out and find my husband, go out and find Caleb. I just kept living my life, removing.
Let's talk about that because, A, this is unscripted. We were completely coming into this conversation
I'm on a verbal rant
with some other agenda and idea of what we thought this video would be about. But I think what you just said, especially in relationship to dating and way we approach life, is there is a balance between, hey, I need to go out there. I need to put myself out there. I need to maybe go on some dates. I need to go and try to make this work and find my person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and I think that inside of, especially if we're just talking around the idea of dating and relationships, that is what is stressed the most, right? But then there is the side of, wait, I need to actually increase my capacity to receive that person, right? I need to actually create the space in my heart and in my lives to welcome that person.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like anytime I've ever spoke to somebody that has not only been desiring a romantic partnership, but been desiring something they want to experience in their life, it's like, do you have space for it? And if you don't have space for it, how can you actually get intentional on creating the space for it? And I think that you really hit the net, like you said it well, when it's like, you had to increase your capacity to welcome me and to receive me.
Yeah. I think too, what you said, there is the balance of the feminine and the masculine energy in anything we do. So the feminine energy is creating space, welcoming, inviting, like it's literally inviting in. Masculine is go, push, get it done, find it. And so I think, again, I'm verbally processing this out, but I think in anything, including dating, there is the reality of like, yeah, go on dates, show up, like be yourself, play the game a little bit, like figure out what you like and you don't like, but also sit back and ask, how can I receive more? How can I create space for this?
Let's try to like, coming. I want to do this with you intentionally because I think this is good for both of us. Let's simplify. What does it actually mean to receive?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, you know, I think it's the same frustration that a lot of people feel when somebody says, everything that you're looking for is within you. Right?
Which is true.
100%
and
true.
Frustrating.
But it's been 10 years for me personally on a self-discovery journey, an inner healing journey, for me to realize that this element of separation is an illusion, that the ground that I've been trying to attain is the ground that I've been standing on all the time.
Yeah.
Right? That's taken me almost a decade of work. And so it's wildly frustrating.
Yeah.
And I will say that I have learned in my own life, and what I'm beginning to really integrate into my life is equal parts doing and equal parts increasing my capacity to receive. Right? Because I've really favorited one side of that, the doing part, for a long time, which leads to burnt out, destroying relationships, and very unfulfilled life.
Yeah.
Right? But now when we integrate the two, so I'm curious, like, what does it mean and what does it look like? And we can hash this out together.
Yeah.
To actually open our hearts to receive.
Yeah.
Because it's such a kind of esoteric, kind of out there,
yeah.
elusive thought process. But it's true, especially if we believe when it's going from like the whole scarcity to abundant mentality, that like the universe is good, God is good, the universe and God are for you, right? And everything that we want in life is trying to make its way into our lives, right? But oftentimes we're resisting, we're pushing, we're actually going against the very thing that we're trying to invite into our life. And the whole journey really is like, what does it mean to receive?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I immediately my hands just think of like grasped hands. So if your hands are full and like clung tight to something, they're not open, right? Like there's nothing that can come in. So I think there is this almost like non-attachment piece, like this letting go piece of expectations of what it would or could or should look like, right? And then there is,
that's big.
Yeah, it's a huge one. And then there is, I'm trying to think of how I would describe this because it's the work
actually
we're in.
challenging.
Yeah, it's the work we're in. I think there is an element of if you want to receive something, you have to believe you're worth receiving that.
Yes.
So if I want to receive a $1 billion home, I have to believe that I'm worth that. Otherwise, it's not coming to me. Like me not believing it is a block in and of itself. So,
right. So the $1 billion home would actually be unsafe for you because you would probably end up self-destructing to self-sabotage that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
Like if we don't have capacity to hold it, universe is not going to give it to us. And part of our capacity to hold it grows when we start expanding our belief system around what we're worth. So if I even think in context to relationships, I did work to expand what I believed I was worth in a relationship. I kept choosing guys that when I was dating, I kept choosing guys that were never choosing me back. And it wasn't about the guys being assholes. They were all great.
Well, some of them were.
Well, yeah. But it was not about them, right? It was actually about why did I keep showing up in relationships that weren't choosing me? Because I wasn't choosing myself. So the whole work became figuring out what I believe I'm worth in a relationship so that I could expand that capacity, expand that container of receiving, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to, it makes total sense. But for me, I think for me, it really is the self-awareness component is key, right? Learning how to be like increasingly more self-aware of your life and the driving motives behind your life. Whenever I have felt that there has been such a need to achieve, a need to get here, a need to do that, a need to be at this place in my life, at this time in my life, that need suffocates, and that need, it's all masculine energy, right? It's all masculine energy. I'm trying to think this out loud, but it's all masculine energy, and it suffocates, and it really debilitates my heart from opening up and receiving already what is, because I've taken control. I'm like the one in charge here. I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. And when I'm living in that capacity, I am not co-creating with God or with this universe. And I think now, speaking from a place of healing, what I have been looking for my entire life is this sense of union, this oneness. Yeah. And that oneness is living radically in the present, right? I feel that now. Like I really tangibly feel that. But I could never, and the oneness and the union really is now you're in a co-partnership. You're co-creating your life with the God of this universe and with the universe and with love. And it really is the epitome of what I would experience as flow. Yeah. Like I'm no longer pushing the river of my life forward. The river is moving. I'm resting in it, and we're going. Yeah. What's for me won't miss me. And I feel that, and I believe that, and I'm learning to rest more and more of that. But whenever it's just me needing and feeling anxious, like feeling really anxious and fearful that this has to happen and me going down this downward spiral, I know my heart has shut down.
Well, and you've dropped your vibration. Like
totally, but it's like
like
closed down my heart from already receiving, because I'm not in a coexisting relationship, and I'm not co-creating my life anymore. This is Caleb being the God of his life, trying to create what he thinks he wants the most. So receiving, I think, for me has been, this is why it's so challenging, is it's the antithesis of how we were taught to do life. Receiving isn't about doing more, right? And I'm saying this all the time because it's my message now. It's about learning how to resist less. So deploying the self-awareness, to bring it full circle, deploying the self-awareness to recognize when I get into that over-anxious mode, and you have felt it time and time again. I think I'm getting better at it. But now when I am trying to write something, right, and I feel that anxious energy attached to it, and whatever it is, I stop. I stop, I give it space to breathe, I reevaluate, I center myself, I practice being present. Maybe I go right back to it, maybe I go back to it in 24 or 48 hours. But what I'm doing is I'm trying just to give myself the space to be present, because when I'm present, what I'm actually doing is opening my heart to receive. So I think it's the self-awareness key of like, whenever that anxious energy attaches itself to whatever you're doing, your heart has shut down to receive.
You're not receiving.
You're not receiving.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And I think the last thing that we can talk about is, 17 minutes?
We're chatties.
There is and I think we're going to release this on my new podcast soon, is like, for you to receive anything, you have to create the space for it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about where we are at in our lives now. Our lives look radically different.
So different. Yeah.
Radically different. Yeah. And I would say that we're probably enjoying life. I know I'm enjoying my life now more than ever before.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think we're just in our lives a little bit.
We are in our lives.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So we are in our lives.
Yeah.
The illusion of separation is no longer there.
Yeah.
Right? We're one. We're co-creating. We're in flow. It feels good. It does. It feels really good. Right? When you have been going your entire life trying to find this thing or trying to arrive at this place, like, no. It feels good.
Fuck, it feels good. It's like,
it feels good though, right? But I think now it's because we've created the space for this life.
Yeah.
So real quick, one tip on
creating space. Well, I think when you say create space, I think the first thing that we think of is physical space, which matters. Like, we moved our lives to Nashville and created different physical space. It's the same. If anything has transformed in your life, there's probably something significant that happened before to allow you to invite it in. We're always creating space to invite in new. But I think of creating space as, especially now, how do we create space in our inner world for a new narrative or a new belief to take place? Because so often what's keeping us from what we want and what we desire is a narrative that's just not helpful or not true. So the narrative of I don't get what I want keeps me stuck in not getting what I want. But if I create space by getting rid of that narrative and replacing it with something more serving and proactive, I do get what I want. I can work towards what I want, whatever the narrative is. Then now I'm creating the space to allow what I want to come into the picture. Because it's generally belief systems, identities, and false narratives that are clogging our pipes.
Yeah. I think too is like when you have that mind frame or that approach, your next massive disappointment is your greatest gift. And what I mean by that is whenever you experience a massive or deep frustration in life, you just really tune in and really pay attention to how you respond. How do you respond in that moment? Because how you respond is usually the deeper belief system that needs to be challenged in your life to begin to rewire and rewrite the narratives that are going to be best serving you in this new season of life that you're growing into.
Yeah. My friend Courtney, Lancaster yesterday, she said, write down everything you want and then write down all the reasons you can't have it. Those things. That's the work. So that is so good because it goes like this. Because we think I got to figure out how to get what I want.
Or we think this is the problem, that's the problem, that's the problem, that's
the problem. But if I write down, I want to be married.
Let's do this.
Right? I am married. But let's say in my singleness, I write down I want to be married. And then I write down all the reasons I can't have that. That's the work for me to look at that stuff and heal that stuff. Because once I get that stuff out of the way,
or
the pipe is open.
Because it could be like, I want a new Land Rover, right? But I don't have the money for a new Land Rover, so that's my problem. But what is supporting this belief system of lack around finances? What are the beliefs that are holding up this thought process that I don't have enough money, right? It is a reality, but the question should be is like, how can I increase my value into this world? Because I know that when I increase the value into this world, it's reciprocated back onto me in value as well, whether that's monetary value, relationships, right? But that is now abundantly speaking. So I think when you list out the challenges, you can also, even if they aren't directly linked to like a belief system, you can get curious on like, oh, what are my belief systems around this?
Yeah.
What are my thought patterns around this? And then that will allow you to become more increasingly aware around the driving forces behind your life.
Yeah, it's good.